Once upon a time, a city girl named Felicity and a city boy named Peter got in way over their heads on their first renovation project. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Honey Apple Farm. I'm Felicity, and if you are just joining the channel, we are in the middle of what I'm calling Dad Days, which is the week in April that Dad came out to help us with some high impact home DIY projects for the formerly abandoned 1830s farmhouse that we moved into at the end of February. So we're getting close to the end of Dad's visit. There's only a couple days left, and today's video is packed with several projects. We finally get around to putting the insulation in the basement ceiling. We put up the second clothesline. There's a little bit of firewood involved, and then we start on the door project. So there's a lot to get into. Let's get started. Good morning, friends. It's day 6. We're working on the extension basement today. Dad is ripping out these entirely useless supports, and I put that loosely in quotes so that he has easier access up there to put in some insulation. Happily, a lot of the boards are salvageable, so if we can denail them, we should be able to use them for other projects. Our question of the day, which Peter might know, but Dad and I do not, this hose runs up through the same access to the kitchen as everything else, and I don't know if it's still being used or not. So now that the supports are down, we may need to find another way to fix that hose. So project number 2 for the day is to see what kind of emergency repair we could put on this outside door that would stop the wind from coming in. It has this lip cut in it for the insert, and it would be possible, we think, to have a new piece of glass cut and a new insert made, but that is beyond Dad's current tool set, because of course most of his tools are in Iowa. So what we're going to try to do is repair the insert itself. Now obviously we don't want screen put back in, which would be the easiest thing to do because the screen does not block any of the wind, which is the primary purpose. So this latest round of molding here, what they put on to hold some plastic in place, which has since ripped away. So we're going to pull that off, and we're going to see if we can basically replace what's here with a couple pieces of plexiglass and a crossbar for support. And then project number 3 for today is to see how much of this wood I can get stacked over there. And I'm very pleased to see that the wood pile that I restacked last night has stayed stacked. Yay! So the reason that we are working on the door now instead of cracking on with the basement is that it being Monday, we have to do a run up to the hardware store, and we want to make sure that we have everything we need on the list so that when Dad comes back from the hardware store, we can just get on with projects. And so to that end, he is using a putty knife to try to pry up as much of the framing on this insert as possible to get an idea of what kind of material we need to pick up at the hardware store. Now, obviously, the putty knife only does so much. It is prying off this crappy trim on the outside, but it is not strong enough to take out those crossbars. I did ask Dad if he could tell how old the wood was. He does not have enough expertise to tell. The black paint, however, is actually black paint. I was wondering if it was paint that had oxidized, but no, as far as we can tell, that paint is black, which is interesting because we have not found black paint anywhere else on the property. So that's a different paint color from the pink, pale green, blue, and deep green that we have found in other places, and yellow. So investigations complete on the screen door. We tried one more DIY fix before we sent Dad off to the hardware store, and that was to take a look at all of the spare windows and doors that were being stored under the porch on the off chance that we might actually find the glass insert for this door. Unfortunately, we did not find that specific glass door, but I did get something of a mini masterclass from Dad on how these 2 beautiful windows were constructed. So these had hinges on them that would allow you to prop the door open and let air in about this much, which is why there's a handle on there. And then this is tapered slightly so that the water would go away from the door. And then these 3 holes, which go all the way through, are for ventilation, because you'd have this door or window, and then next to your regular door or window, so condensation and stuff would be likely to get there. So those are basically vent holes. Now this one does not have those holes at the bottom, but it does have the hardware and the handle. This one, you can see the tenon up here, actually on both sides, which is a lovely style of construction, but not a modern one. This one, we're not sure if it has a tenon. It might be buried on the inside, which you could do because the tenons are likely to swell and shrink with the weather. And so burying it inside is actually classier because then you don't have to see it swelling and shrinking inside the pocket. So if any of you are window experts and know maybe when they stopped making, as a standard matter of course, wood frame windows with tenons in them, or when these sort of prop out styles were really popular, that would help us date these windows. I could go on and on about how much I love these doors and all the different ideas I have to use them, but time is a-wasting. Dad is going to get back from the hardware store, and we do need to get on with projects. So I'm going to remove as much of the hardware as I can to make stacking these things easier. I definitely do not want to accidentally punch out a sheet of glass or rip up any frameworks with this metal that we're not going to be using anymore. And happily, just as it started raining, Dad returned from the hardware store and we could get cracking on the basement insulation. So Dad, in his geniusness, has figured out what this drain pipe is. It is for the mini split system. So he's going to get a couple more metal ties and tie it to the beam so that it slants at a downward slope towards the outside wall. So this is too wide for our beams, right? We're going to have to cut it down?
No.
Oh, is it the perfect?
Yeah, no, it'll maybe be a little bit.
Oh, that's fine.
Concave.
That's fine.
No, I'm not going to take the time. See, the foundation has these little edges that you unroll.
Okay.
And that's where your staples go.
I see.
On your beams.
Okay.
So if you cut it, you lose this.
You lose your edge.
You lose that edge.
Got it. Okay. Looks like some of the staples might have come back out on this side too. Because nothing is normal in this house, this set of rafters is half the width of the others. So we're going to cut this remaining scrap of roll 2 in half and see if there's enough length here to finish that one off. It's nice when plans go according to plan.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of extra.
When a plan comes together.
Yes.
The A-team.
Was that where that's from?
Yes.
As with any project, there's always bits and pieces left over, and Dad had the ingenious idea of putting the extra bits up in the empty space between the wall and the rafters. I present to you a basement with insulation in the ceiling. Dad says it does not look great. I disagree. I think this is actually a fantastic improvement over what was here before. It's clean, it's new, it will keep the kitchen floor hopefully a great deal warmer than it is already. And also, this line has been tacked up the way it always should have been, and just wasn't. So a vast improvement all around. The one thing we do need to do yet in here, if you stick your hand up next to this is the water pipe that goes up to our kitchen sink. If you stick your hand up here, there's a noticeable temperature difference, and that is because there's no insulation around that pipe. So we're going to get one of those, piping spray foam insulation guns and just shoot it up in there, because that will stop the heat transfer going up through there. Behold our brand new insulated ceiling. Our local hardware store is truly marvelous. Not only did they have clothespins, but they also had the extra set of pulleys and the separator and the hooks and the tensioner. So we're going to go ahead and put on the second line of wire. And then we will have clothespins we use to hang things up on said wire. And that will be amazing. It is quite breezy today, which maybe means I ought to do laundry.
With the acquisition of Baby Crowbar, Project Screen Doors underway.
First things first, we're taking off this crappy trim that they put on to hold in the plastic that's no longer here.
Baby crow doo 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 doo, baby crow doo 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 doo, baby crow doo 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 doo, baby crow.
What next, O wise master?
We've been trying to get these
Oh.
out, and this wood is so old and fragile, it's probably going to break. Now, I do have thin wood that I purchased
That's okay.
to and then let's see.
That is really on there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here's the state of the storm door at the end of day one. I'm going to take it off and put it down here in a minute because it's really windy. So we've taken off all the trim. We've taken off the inside pieces that were holding the screen in place. The screen actually is there. And the plan for tomorrow is to have them cut a piece of plexiglass that fits this whole side, and then we're going to glue it all around the edges. And also we're going to replace the cross pieces here and put some framing on the inside, like so. And probably also screw the plexiglass in a few places. So that insert should hopefully be re-glassed, and then we can put it back in the door, which looks kind of funny right now without a screen in it. Dad also thinks that he will have time to have them cut 2 new panes of glass for our main door and perhaps glue and screw those back in as well. And that would leave us the task of stripping the back and repainting it and then filling the cracks down there with wood filler. Honestly, getting the glass in and secure is going to be the hardest part. So tomorrow's going to be a very door heavy day. Getting this done would be amazing as a first line of defense against the wind, and then having that done as well would make a huge difference.
So that is it for today's video. It was a whirlwind of a day, and I think you guys can tell by far my favorite part is being able to do laundry on the outside drying line, but I'm also really excited about this door project. Some of you may remember that we were originally going to replace the door with a brand new one and then decided that of the spare amount of cash we had left, 4,000 of it should not be going to that door. So I'm really excited to see the insert in the screen door and also to get that main door fixed tomorrow. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me on today's adventures. Tomorrow is the final dad days, so I will see you soon in that video. Bye for now.
See, we like Grandpa. Yes, we do. Grandpa is nice. Oh, yes. There you are, Boogaloo. Oh, look at that. Yes.
My kitties, you remind me of my kitties back home.
Yes. Oh.